My name is Marco, and my job is writing tourist guides. It's a job that I like. I like discovering new places, getting to know their colors, their tastes, the people who live there. I like setting off. And today I'm setting off for the Abruzzi. I have to write a guide to the Alto Vastese in the area between the Trigno and Sinello rivers in the province of Chieti. I've never been there, which is why I can't wait to get there. The first village on the itinerary I have prepared is Castiglione Messer Marino, which, from its height of 1,081 meters above sea level, dominates a historically strategic area between the valleys of the rivers Sangro and Trigno. This is why the lords of these lands, from the Middle Ages onwards, made it one of their strongholds. The last of these were the Caracciolo, in honor of one of whom, namely Marino, Castiglione took on the name of Castiglione Messer Marino. It is Raphael who tells me this story, and also about his grandfather, one of the last stonecutters, craftsmen who specialized in working stone, who left their mark here in Castiglione in the 19th century, fountains of the Madonna della Grazia in San Rocco, and in the beautiful portal of the Church of the Archangel Michael. Castiglione is also home to the Museum of Family Traditions, where you can rediscover the objects of countryside culture, when there was only the sun and the passing of the seasons to mark out the rhythm of life. Leaving the village, I come across the greenest of hills, covered by forests of silver firs, majestic thin trees, on average 30 meters tall, that have been nicknamed the Prince of the Woods. This is the Selva Grande fir wood, an area of 550 hectares subdivided into 3 parts: pinewood, beechwood, and pasture land. And at the feet of the evocatively named mountain Lupara, which means shotgun, I find the isolated church of Santa Maria del Monte. It is a magical place, and I decide to lose myself in a long trek through the woods, where the beech, maple, lime, and Scotch elm are only some of the species I might meet. The second stop on my journey is Schiavi di Abruzzo, the highest village of the Vastese, 1,172 meters above sea level. It was probably founded by a community of Slavs who arrived here not long before the year 1000. In the historic center, there are still evident signs of the ancient fortified village and, in the name of one of the areas of the village, Castello, testimony to the fortress that probably dominated it. This is where I'm going to meet Pasquale, the historian who accompanies me to visit the holy area of the Italic temples.
Questi sono 2 templi sannitico-italici.
Then he explains to me that the greater temple is from the 2nd century BC, while the lesser temple, rebuilt on the surviving ruins in the early 70s, is from the 2nd century AD. He also tells me that the greater temple is a religious military temple.
Gli eserciti di tutte le ampie tribù sannitiche si concentravano qui per le ritualizzazioni religiose e per la preparazione alla guerra.
Having said goodbye to Pasquale, and before moving on to Castelguidone, I decide to go up to Monte Pizzuto, from which you can enjoy the view of Schiavi di Abruzzo and of the whole valley. It is incredible how much you can see from here, but, above all, how much you can hear. Such is the silence. Heading down towards the Trigno Valley, I arrive at Castelguidone. Walking through the village, you stumble upon really evocative views. I stop to photograph the municipal fountain in sculpted stone, erected in the 18th century, right in the middle of the square. Then I go to visit the church of Santa Maria della Stella, where the body of Saint Clementine is venerated. The saint's feast, an important celebration, falls on the last Sunday of September. Apart from the saint's body, the church contains paintings, reliquaries, and wooden statues, testimony to the original church, which was completely rebuilt in the 60s. And having heard the history of these places, having admired their architecture and landscape, now I want to get to know their flavors. And my guide, as I begin this journey, will be Silvana. She lets me watch as she prepares two typical local dishes, lamb done in charcoal and a sort of chopped up lasagna. First, she cuts up the potatoes and dresses them in salt, pepper, oil, and parsley. Then, having mixed them together, she tips them into a roasting pan and adds the pieces of lamb. After she places the lid on, the coppo of the dish's name, she covers it all with the charcoal and then lights the fire. As the meat cooks, Silvana prepares the pasta, firstly working it with her hands and then flattening it out with the rolling pin. In the end, she wraps it round the rolling pin and cuts it. And she tells me this is sagna pezzate, that is, chopped up lasagna. I think I will take things easy and enjoy these wonderful dishes. What's more, Silvana's agriturismo seems to me to be the perfect place to take a break from my wanderings. This morning I got up very early, as I do not want to miss this light. It will not last long and I want to enjoy it as much as possible. I arrive at San Giovanni Lipioni, still accompanied by the morning light. This is the smallest village of the Alto Vastese, an area just over 9 square kilometers with 271 inhabitants. In the square, circled by unusual iron streetlights, 2 old men show me the way to the church of Santa Maria delle Grazie. I climb up and arrive in front of the church. Here Don Angelo tells me about the Maio procession linked to Saints John and Liberata, in which, during Mass in the small and utterly charming chapel of Saint Liberata, just outside the village, the young people gather flowers with which they garland the cross, that they then take around the village receiving in exchange for a good luck rhyme all sorts of wine and food. From San Giovanni Lipioni, I head towards Celenza sul Trigno. At Fondovalle, before heading up to the village, I come across Torre della Fara, in ancient times a watchtower. Today it houses a large colony of rooks that help give it a very Gothic feel. In the village there's another medieval tower, the Bell Tower, in front of the church of Santa Maria Assunta, and it too has been taken over by rooks. The church itself, though, is home to an interesting example of medieval sculpture, a sort of canopy that has been reused as an altar that, according to tradition, used to cover the tomb of the Pignatelli family. And then there is the sanctuary of the patron saint of Celenza, Donato, which is even today a place of pilgrimage. These great wooden scales, preserved in the sanctuary, were used to estimate the payment to be made to the saint in exchange for curing epilepsy, by placing on one side the same weight in grain as the sick person on the other. Apart from the scales, the church also contains a beautiful polyptych from the 16th century. And this is Nicola, a member of the Italian Mountaineering Club, who takes me with him to the Caccavoni Gorge, a spectacular canyon you find going down from the village in the direction of the river. In particular, Nicola takes me to the Fisca, a high wall with a sheer drop that is used by climbers for training. He would like me to climb with him, but I, prudently, prefer to stay and watch him from here. next stop is Torre Bruna. In all these years, I've learned that if you really want to know the village you are visiting and the nature of those who live there, you have to go to a bar. And to judge by what I find here, the atmosphere is so relaxed and friendly, I cannot help but join them for a game of cards. But apart from the hospitality of its people, Torre Bruna is also worth visiting for the parish church of the Transfiguration and its organ. It was built in 1780 by Donato Antonio Ciavarelli and has been recently restored. Just as interesting is the typical municipal fountain with its clean and essential lines, and the area of Guardia Bruna with its baronial palace on a rocky spur. In August in Torre Bruna, they celebrate the Feast of the Truffle King, at which the truffle is at the center of everything from the dishes to the conversation. This is because the hills between Torre Bruna and Carunchio are rich in truffles, the black diamonds, as they are known here for their high hedonistic and commercial value. And at dusk, I have an appointment with Carmine and Luna in the hope of being able to find some.
Trova su, trova dai su, cerca dai su, vieni qua dai. Luna, vieni qua, vieni.
We were lucky. Tonight, Carmine will let me try some excellent tagliatelle with truffles, and although the credit is all hers, this evening Luna will have to settle for a simple bone. I am almost at the end of my journey. This morning I'm going to visit Carunchio, one of the biggest villages in the Alto Vastese at 32 square kilometers. I start from the top of the village, from the Turdo and Castelli palaces, and from the church of St. John the Baptist. From here you can take in a splendid view. The portal of the church and the grandiose organ inside it are both from the 18th century. On the other hand, the Purgatory Church is medieval, and it contains particularly beautiful 15th century frescoes. I am struck by the atmosphere in these churches. I am struck too by the face of Antonio.
Sono un contadino pensionato e ho fatto l'emigrante.
And he tells me about the years he spent working abroad to be able to support his family, buy a piece of land and build a house in his village. Now he is retired and spends his days working in his orchard, taking long walks and drinking wine with his friends. This is his life. This is his story. And I like stories, and I always like the people who tell them. And at the Mater Domini sanctuary in Fraine, I meet someone who has a story to tell.
Io sono Don François, sono della nazionalità ruandese, sto a Fraine in questo santuario quasi 3 anni.
According to tradition, the church was built to thank the Virgin Mary, who appeared to a deaf-mute shepherdess girl who, through a miracle, regained her hearing and speech following this vision. From the Santa Maria Mater Domini sanctuary, I climb towards the village, which is dominated by the Church of St. Sylvester. And I discover that Fraine, too, is a magical place where time runs slowly and people know the secrets of the old traditions and the old tastes. Like the excellent caciocavallo, which is made in the farms spread throughout the Alto Vastese, where sheep and cows graze freely on immense stretches of pasture land, which is why, explains Alberto, a local producer, the cheese has its distinctive yellow color, or the delicate green and almondy oil, like the one Giovanni and his father offer me. They explained to me that this DOP oil, known as Colline Teatine, is obtained from different varieties of olive, including the native variety Nebbio or fog, that gets its name from the pale green color of its foliage that seems to be permanently wrapped in fog. And they also produce some excellent wine. Pecorino, Trebbiano, and Cococciolo are some of the whites, while Cerasuolo or Cherry is a rosé produced from Montepulciano grapes that gets its name from its color. But no local cantina would lack the symbol of their local wines, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo DOC, that, if aged for at least 2 years, at least 9 months of which is in wooden casks, can be granted the reserve label. And it is with the aftertaste of red fruits and licorice of the Montepulciano in my mouth that I also taste ventricina, a salami made with the most noble parts of the pig, minced sweet pepper and wild fennel. Around here, this is the real queen of the table. And thus my journey and my work end on a high note. In the guide, I will write that whoever is seeking breathtaking views and uncontaminated natures, history and culture, good food and wine has to come here to the Alto Vastese in this part of the Abruzzi between the rivers Trigno and Sinello. But above all, I will write that whoever comes here cannot but feel love at first visit.